Game number 3. That's right. It's all tied up here between IG and EHOME in this wonderful series for the ESL 1 Genting Chinese qualifiers. I'm Gareth, joined by Dragon Drop, of course. Yet again, we move ourselves into a draft which is progressing pretty damn quickly, and we see that EHOME have had their Broodmother banned out, but they start with a tiny Warlock. Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, saw the first 2 picks with the Tusk and the Tiny and was like, oh yeah, that looks finally something more like what we're used to seeing so far in 707. Especially with the Tusk, one of the most picked heroes from IG in the last month or so. But then the Warlock, of course, that's an EHOME special, perhaps you could say, with the way that they handled that hero as a last pick in the series yesterday, up against Rocky Young. We'll see whether IG, armed with knowledge that this is coming out early, we'll see whether they can actually handle that. For now, they go back for Death Prophet for themselves. So, a bit of kill potential here once you get into these levels with the Tusk roaming in towards that mid lane. So, very strong, very solid opener for both teams, really.
Yeah, it's going to be about these combos with the Fatal Bonds. You know, look for the Faceless Void, the Sand King, these heroes that can chain, stun, and damage people to get that link damage across a number of heroes. Shadow Shaman was another one that we saw CTY play mid, but maybe a little unlikely this game as IG start things off again, aiming for that kind of 5-man push. The objective-focused gameplay from IG was what pretty much won them game number 1, and then EHOME came back in game 2 with a very swarmy, zergy kind of play style, a kind of draft with Lycan and Brood, just taking tower after tower, and then Roshan after Roshan, securing them a pretty swift Game 2 victory. And 4th ban time for IG, with a lot of heroes in the pool viable as a ban. You know, you're looking at, as I mentioned, the Void, the Sand King, but there's also heroes out there like the Legion Commander, heroes that can lock down this Death Prophet and potentially nuke her before that Exorcism comes up. But they've got their Baboka Tusk, they've got that saving mechanism, the roaming power, that multifaceted support hero in the hands of a wonderful player can do amazing things. And it's early days in the draft so far.
Yeah, it's normally that second phase where you start to see the strategies start to shape up a little bit more, whether you want to go for some more of a team fight or pick off, or they want to go more down, more team fights, threats-oriented lineup for IG, just taking down towers on the back of the Death Prophet and just not making EHOME not fight into you at all, because it's so scary. But speaking of team fights, Disruptor works very well together with the Warlock. Right? Can bring people together or back to you with the glimpse, control them up inside a kinetic field. So perfect arena for Warlock's Golem to then drop down and do a bit of extra damage as well.
Big wombo combos coming.
Yeah.
So IG, to deal with this, you know, you can look for the split push gameplay, or you can look to meet them head on. You know, likely need some more saving mechanisms here to keep your Death Prophet alive, or some kind of way to swing a team fight. You know, the old school was the Naga Siren Sleep, but we very rarely see her nowadays. You're really kind of thinking about the Faceless Void with the Chronosphere, heroes like the Clockwork with big hook shots, Sand King with Epicenter and Burst Strike combos to try and swing fights around. But another huge one is Winter Wyvern that we haven't seen, I feel, the past couple of days in China. Has been ignored or banned second phase a fair amount, which is still very popular in NA and Europe. Winter Wyvern here could be huge, you know, the healing power, the turnaround potential with Winter's Curse. But for now, it will be left at the sidelines, and Beastmaster arrives. A lot more pushing power from him, enables one-roll heroes, you know, physical right-clickers to do a lot more damage. And of course, you've got that single-target Roar to catch Warlock or Disruptor before they get their ultimates out.
It seems to be the name of the game for IG. Just get the quick pick off and then start going into the objectives with the DP and start snowballing, literally and figuratively, after that. So, I mean, they could still pick up a couple of other heroes that go along these lines. Still need another support as well as a safe laner, more than likely. Unless they're thinking about some sort of aggro lane, right? With the Tusk, you can perhaps make that argument here. Pick up even the Dazzle. That works quite well because you have a way to get close and get a few heroes together for the Shadow Wave bomb. But it is the Phoenix coming through, which does throw things around a little bit. But
I mean, it ticks all the boxes that I wanted, basically.
Yeah.
It's got potential to save with Aghanim's Egg. You've got that team fight turnaround with the Supernova along with the Fiery Spirits, but you've also got that heal coming through for a Death Prophet from that Sunray. And from the support role, you're not really limited with the hero being in an off-lane or a core position. So it's pretty damn nice there.
Still gotta be worried about the Disruptor. Like, if you just going into a team fight, you're just playing on the edge essentially, just trying to rely on ultimate, but then you get caught by a Static Storm or something like that. Could be an issue, and EHOME, well, they still have one slot left to try and pick up a hero that can maybe deal with the Egg through attack speed or just magic immunity.
Well, there we go with the Chaos Knight to end things up. So Puck for EHOME prior to this. It does round up their team fight combo pretty nicely. Still unsure whether it's going to be mid or off lane. They've left that open to themselves. IG, tons of damage. Tons of damage coming out of them. Lots and lots of lockdown as well between Beastmaster, Tusk and Chaos Knight. But EHOME's team fight, they're no slouches either. You do maybe wonder how well the Puck do in these lanes. They definitely don't have that same kind of lane dominance, the same roaming prowess that IG have between the Tusk, the Phoenix. The lane control from them seems a fair bit nicer, especially since DP has that Spirit Siphon to potentially outright win her own lane. So EHOME, they've got to pull something magic out of the bag here to even things up in the early stages, but once they hit that timing, when they've got level 6s on their supports, they'll have Blink or Shadow Blade on the Tiny, Blink, maybe a Veil on the Puck, and then this final hero to come in and do a huge chunk of damage to tie in with the Fatal Bonds and the Dream Coil. Maybe a little bit of Illusion Clear wouldn't go amiss to deal with the Chaos Knight Phantasm and nuke into the DP if she's caught by a glimpse or a jump from the Puck.
Yeah. Wouldn't hate something like an OD here. Can tick some of these boxes, but with these last 2 years from IG, you certainly don't have this one easy solution hero that just is suddenly countering all of IG. And I don't know. I don't know if you want to run the Puck in the offlane either. It's like he shouldn't really be able to get too much done if the Chaos Knight just goes aggressively on him every single time.
Well, they don't have the catch. Yeah. Like, Tusk and Phoenix don't really have the catch for the Puck. We'll still go for the Underlord. It's a very tanky hero towards the offlane.
Or at least it's a hero that's not necessarily reliant on his ultimate. I mean, you already have the Disruptor, the Warlock to some degree, that are kind of tied to these abilities to some extent, unless you're the one in the driver's seat, right? If you're the one who is just a couple of levels ahead, a couple of items here, maybe here or there, and if you're the one chasing away Invictus Gaming, then you're the one who can just chase them down with the mobility of the Puck, with the Disruptor Glimpse, and holding them in with the Kinetic Field, with the Pit of Malice. But if you're the one being pressured into, then I'm not sure how the Underlord really fixes that, outside of like that area denial from the Firestorm.
Yeah, it definitely looks like a draft that could go very right or very wrong for EHOME, right? It's very unbalanced in the way that from the laning phase they can kind of launch themselves into this game, but it's going to be a tough one, it feels like. CTY will be the Puck and we'll get the old chicken Tiny. I do prefer IG's lineup this time around. Not cheesy, not reliant on anything really here. Oh, I forgot to change something. That's meant to be 1-1. Let's just quickly swap that. We do still have IG on... Oh no, that's going to change as well. IG's on the Radiant side. Yep. That's my fault. I knew there was something. There we go. IG on the Radiant, EHOME on the Dire. Magical. Wonderful.
Just feels like EHOME have very few ways of actually playing from behind. Like even things like the Warlock Golem, the Puck Dream Coil, they feel very underwhelming. If they can just stand there in the coil without having to snap it, it doesn't really do anything. Same for the Warlock Golem. You drop it down, but you don't have the follow-up, you don't have the extra threat to force the enemy to decide, alright, do we want to right-click the Golem down, or do we have something else to worry about? Like, it can feel very underwhelming indeed if IG get to that point where they can just shrug these kind of things off.
It looks like they're aiming for some kind of aggro lane here. EHOME setting up to have their Underlord top. Faith Beyond is there waiting. But IG grouped up very early on as 4, trying to scout out any of these EHOME players moving in. So what's this going to be? Tiny Disruptor Warlock lane against CK Phoenix Tusk. I'm not sure how this is going to go down, but it might be that IG completely swap things up themselves, moving away from this bounty rune spot. Puck will come and steal it away. No contest there because they want to shift their lanes across. Beastmaster and Underlord have a bit of a battle across the two of them. And the bounty runes should be 2 and 2. As Beastmaster will look to TP bottom, it looks like CK is, moving up top. Yeah. Dodging the aggro lane.
Probably safest thing to do, like CK. You can probably fight into them, but if you have the choice, you really want to have a safe lane for him to get these levels. Get an early armlet or even a Midas, depending on what kind of words he wants to go for. Right now, his treads queued up. And because then the earlier you hit that power spike, the better you can make use of it, obviously.
Well, we've seen this before. Early Shadow Word there, so CTY can just walk up the ramp and play super aggressively. Did miss his first orb, lands the second one, chipping away at the DP. But Spirit Siphon alleviates a lot of those issues. Tusk TPing down towards this Disruptor who is looking to contest this wave that they've dragged back, but now trapped in the shards. The damage looks like it might be enough with one more punch to secure the kill. XXS. Beastmaster, first blood indeed. Starts things off with a bang.
Well, he's doing the classic solo laner thing, just dragging the creeper across. Disruptor felt like, oh yeah, might as well contest it. But then Bobaka saying, you know, I'm there to help my buddy out, claiming first blood. Certainly gonna give them the advantage there now, rotating mid. Puck just use the orb aggressively, yeah, I mean, so he has to already start walking off. It's being blocked out by these shots. Well, coming off cooldown, is it barely gonna be enough here, actually?
Orb of Venom, ooh, 6 HP, one more hit, the salve will be popped. No phase shift here, so DP could have gone for a right click there. But they don't know, he never used the Waning Rift, so it could be a 1-0-1, could be 1-1-0, they're not sure if he's holding a point. Still, may have been worth the effort. Puck returns to full HP. So these lanes looking good for the Dire team so far. Underlord 8 and 4, Puck 8 and 1, then Tiny with an even amount of last hits and denies with all of the creep dragging and equilibrium resetting from the Beastmaster, being a little bit annoying. But we'll look towards top as the Warlock walks in towards the bounty rune, but he's found Phoenix with the Fiery Spirits and the Snowball ready after the shards if they even need it. Probably do to get that extra bit of lockdown to chase forward onto HYM. One more punch, not even required. The Snowball does the job, and that is another kill going the way of IG. Securing Chaos Knight, a little bit of free time to farm away top as well.
So you're going to throw a snowball for as long as you can, just to have that in the back pocket to cancel possible TPs. Very well played, of course, now. CK actually kind of being blocked, but does find a path to avoid the Firestorm.
Underlord with Shadow Word and Atrophy Aura. Pretty difficult to kill, I'd say.
Also with the Stoling as well, so you have with that extra region, you can spam the Firestorm out more indiscriminately. It's actually a bit of an issue for Chaos Knight, of course, a strength-based hero. Gonna take quite a bit of damage from that. So it's not that kind of free lane that they were hoping for with this rotation. It almost feels like they would have had a better time down bottom up against the Tiny.
Yeah, potentially. Beastmaster, though, is getting a fair amount out of this lane. Again, Bottle for the offlaner here for XXS. DD rune stored inside. But Bobaka has been roaming around, so it hasn't really been the aggro try. It's been a 2v2 as Faith Beyond gone on a little bit, but still with a Warlock behind him. Shadow Word readily available. Not under any difficulties, really.
So looking back at this middle lane, I mean, this is not really going all that well for the Death Prophet. Puck still ahead by like 5-6 CS, give or take. Also in the terms of eyes. Bottom lane.
Snowball dodge on the Avalanche. Fiery Spirits and the DD right clicks. Oh, old chicken. One more punch will do the job. XXS could look to dive this tower, but Disruptor gets the trade back onto the Phoenix. At the very least, one little kill goes their way there. Trying to aim for maybe another Shards play, but the bottle refilled by the Bounty Rune. A regen spawns bot as well. Beastmaster will gladly grab all of these up.
DP here. OP being a bit annoyed by the puck, trying to start to zone him out with these high levels of the Spirit Siphon. That was his last charge for a while. But he's starting to or try and catch up at the very least, but still a question of can you actually contest last hits here with the puck holding on to 2 null talismans. I don't know.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Talisman.
Talisman. What?
Well, DP has the raindrops, so very unlikely she dies. Especially not solo to the puck. And she's not that far behind. It's still reasonably okay. Well, CTY will just continue controlling that lane, keep it on top of his high ground, but already pushes it forward. Interesting coil. Not sure what CTY is planning here. He doesn't have any teammates nearby, and with limited mana, Tusk could think about rolling forward. Death Prophet playing scared. Tusk going to go in for a few punches. Pops a raindrop. And with Wand and Orb available, CTY's got to make a play here. Gets away. Cuts it very tight, but he baits as many spells out as possible from this Radiant team before they give up.
Very confident in his own abilities just to be able to press the buttons at the right time. Like other players would have probably just gone for the early Magic Wands into the orb across the shards, but not him. Just getting the most out of what he has. Now straight to the... he went to a shrine to heal up, I guess.
Still, EHOME in a very good spot. Disruptor getting closer to this level 6. Their timing is getting there. The fact they've run these dual lanes mean that their supports are getting a decent amount of experience from stacking or pulling, or just, in Disruptor's case, leeching experience from whatever position he finds himself in. Underlord off to a great start as well, 1300 gold. If he gets a quick, mech with arcanes or a quick pipe, they could really bull rush forward and control this game from the get-go. Things look maybe a bit difficult for IG as this progresses into that 10-15 minute period where EHOME have all of these ultimates available, but it's a lot of the time, especially in Chinese Dota, whoever gets that first move, whoever puts the front foot forward, the strongest, the earliest, is the one to start controlling the game. So we also look towards the Exorcism from Death Prophet, the Roar from Beastmaster. If they can go and find an aggressive play, get a pick off, that's key around a tier 1, take that tower and transition it into deep wards, get the vision game going, and then equally IG could be the ones that start this game off in the right manner. Especially when you're the ones with the Beastmaster, right? You've got the Hawk, you've got the Boars, and these creeps to push towers very quickly, but also the vision you get from it. The previous game we saw wolves and spiderlings and mud golems and all of it, just everything scouting around and pushing lanes and giving information. Information really is key. Knowing where your opponents are pushing, knowing where they're hiding. And this Observer Ward, it spotted the Warlock hiding, and he's been found by both supports of the IG squad. But with a TP from Disruptor, it looks like he'll be bodyguarded safely near this creep wave. And now let's start the chase back onto the Phoenix.
Still has Ziggurar Staff available, so he should be absolutely fine. No TP though, so it's... but yeah, they've no really easy way of catching him out. Glimpse, only level 2, so not quite in range, but to say that's hanging around a little bit in mid. Call coming through, here's Beastmaster rotates in, snaps Call, but he'll be dropping as this 4 people coming in. Glimpse back down to the deep ping. Spirit Siphons are available, but is it going to be enough for the extra roots? No, 4 heroes. Right click away, stick charge is almost enough. But almost is, well, can't really buy yourself anything with that most of the time in Dota, so good movement there from EHOME, and they're doing exactly what they need, right? We're talking about how this lineup is either hit or miss, and a good laning stage, I mean, winning all 3 lanes essentially is a good foundation to build on, to not have to be in a position to play from behind.
Which team 5-man first?
Huh.
EHOME. Which team looks like they're in control? EHOME.
Yeah.
We're starting to see a pattern in Chinese Dota here. The first team to start grouping up and really pressuring and getting the numbers advantage in fights, pressing forward for more, and of course, the glimpse back always gets that +1 in these battles. Even if the Dream Coil's like a little bit off, they maybe could have found another one there, as they will catch the Underlord, but they're setting up bottom lane as well to catch the CK Phantasm thrown out as the 3 dire heroes converge around him, but he'll be okay for now to wander away. No real follow through there as the glimpse already expended. And still no level 6 on these two supports. They've been level 4 for quite some time. But we will see IG utilize the Exorcism, the Roar, and the Beastmaster comes in with his little summons.
Yeah, CK proving to be surprisingly tanky and didn't even have to go for the Magic Wand charges just yet. Still has plenty of those available, but that's the thing. I mean, even though EHOME has won their lanes, they haven't really crushed them, really. I mean, you also had Boboka roaming around time and time again, 1-0-2, so not the worst kind of scoreline for a 4 position hero at all. Now he's getting some time in mid. He even get the drag back on the park. No orb. He does have the orb available, doesn't get it off. With the follow-up stun, so hey.
Didn't get the wand off either. CTY gets caught with his pants down there, it feels like. Not expecting the Chaos Knight to pop his head up and say hello in the mid lane. But that's what's happened as Tier 1 bottom has fallen. And Chaos Knight not really comfortable heading back down there, but his armlet not too far away. He did have it much earlier in the previous game, but this match not as easy by any means. Well, here's the tome for Disruptor. Does that not quite push him to level 6? Gets very, very close to it. Maybe a kill with the help of Tiny will get him a little closer, but shutting down his Chaos Knight for sure is going to be a huge way for them to alleviate some of the fears they have heading into this next stage of the game. Into the 10-minute mark now. Need these ultimates from the supports. A Warlock's Golem, Disruptor's Static Storm, but they are eyeing up this Death Prophet mid. Tusk behind, Tiny scouts him. They know about both heroes in this vicinity.
I don't think OP will be found here. Kind of hugging the tower, also having the safety of the support sitting next to him. Will feel comfortable pushing a little bit forward, and EHOME not willing to spend more time on that pursuit. As I said, they need to try and find other ways to secure these levels. Warlock is getting some space down bottom. Not quite level 6 himself just yet, but even on the other side, right? You have Y and Phoenix who want to have that egg available, if nothing else, just to have this big spell available to either force attention, like force right clicks, or just make EHOME run away from a team fight, even if you don't get kills with it. Even the Walrus Punch on the Tusk can be super useful. They're spending some time farming up stacks together to achieve these goals.
Faith Beyond not going to go for the pipe or the mech. We're seeing a lot more of this item, the Crimson Guard. Very good up against the Death Prophet Ghosts, of course, but also Beastmaster and CK incredibly strong as DP has been caught. We'll see the entire arsenal of abilities thrown her way. Spirit Siphon will not save her from this. The Golem cancelled out, the animation stopped as the egg comes through and IG lose 2. Faith Beyond with a very quick double kill. As EHOME, they group up as 5 with their ultimates, and guess what? They're the ones to come out on top.
Feels like IG are not really on the same page. I mean, even in the last game, we've seen these same kind of things, where we lose one hero with a lot of committed here for EHOME, but then that second hero goes in and tries to turn things around, but only that second hero, no one else. Like, it's the entire team coming in, with the Roar, with the Supernova, but also like the shards, anything else to protect that egg. Maybe they get something here.
CK does have a double damage room. They're trying to get this Underlord out with a Golem to help, but that burst damage there, too much to handle. They'll get the Golem kill as well as IG retaliate. Look for this Tier 1 middle lane. They desperately need it though. If they can transition this into a Roshan kill, then sure, everything might just be worth it.
Yeah. This is different. This is IG, the entire team, engaging into that, and it already looks like a completely different fight. That was perhaps also EHOME overstaying the welcome a little bit, just relying on the Golem to perhaps be scary enough at this point, but it goes both ways, right? You need the entire team to engage if you're going for these kind of 5-man engagements. It seems obvious, but that's what it is. Up top, we'll pick off here. Snowball coming through to try to delay this a little further. There's nothing else you can really do.
Well played by Faith Beyond, realizing the Snowball was heading to the creeps, aggroes them, gets the Pit of Malice, farms and kills at the same time. Even going for the movement speed talent over the Firestorm wave damage. We've seen a lot more of this, people really prioritizing the move speed talents as Waning Rift top lane. Is it long enough to stop the Roar from arriving? No, not quite. Still caught. CTY, nice attempt. 3 seconds duration. Was that a long TP?
Must have been, right? Because like 3 seconds is normally the exact time for the minimum TP.
And
But
then
Raw also has a bit of a wind-up time.
yeah, exactly.
Should have been enough.
Well, caught and killed. CTY, unfortunate there. Gets the Death Prophet and the Beastmaster up on the board. There's XXS, level 10 now with Necro 1 medallion done. They are starting to hit their stride, IG. Again, another very even game. It's going to be back and forth between these smokes, this ebb and flow of the game around Roshan, most definitely. Who can get the upper hand and find those pickoffs to transfer into objectives. But Tiny is about to hit that Blink Dagger timing, the arrival of that initiation tool to burst down heroes like the Beastmaster, like the DP, who are relatively squishy, and if they're caught with Fatal Bonds and then the Avalanche Toss from Tiny, they could maybe bring down a couple of IG heroes before they even realize they've been jumped on.
Yeah. I really like Tiny's going for this build over the Tree Grab Maxed. It's because it gives you so much more potential early on, even just in skirmishes, even without that mobility item just yet. But then if you go for the Quick Blink or the Shadow Blade, really, you have that extra kill power, and well, especially in this game, you also have other heroes that you can farm stacks instead. But you can also use that combo to farm neutral camps themselves. You did that before, but top lane now. Drop everything again. This time on to CTY, the Golem, Fatal Bonds, a couple of heroes that can actually turn us around very easily here. 2 heroes down already, and Chaos Knight, long for the world either. Oh,
well,
that was a very quick turnaround, yeah.
Well,
CTY will be spamming the space created in chat, probably.
Yeah.
We'd see it if we did, but maybe in voice chat, who knows.
Gets his blink delayed, but they found the Phoenix. Tossed back with a glimpse, but now he can dive away. They've overlapped their abilities just a little bit.
Expecting the Icarus dive to come out a little bit faster. But yeah. Not the most important kill to miss out on, I guess. EHOME, they're still riding the wave, they're still riding the timing window. Especially with that blink, but they also have the advantage of not being super ultimate reliant now, because they don't necessarily need that chaotic offering to win these kind of team fights. So they can still play aggressively. They can still farm aggressively, more to the point, and just try and gain that information here. Keep the vision up. Right now, they don't have a lot of wards anyway, really. There's one defensive ward inside their own jungle. So on Radiant side, they have one on the other side of the map here and offline. Not really helping them out for this Roshan.
Roshan under the effect of about 1 million debuffs. Medallion, Reality Rift minus armor, Disruptor will go in, Static Storm dropped, but Roshan has already fallen with the Aegis taken by the Chaos Knight. EHOME have to retreat. The Disruptor's been caught here by a sprint forward from the DP. Faith Beyond trapped in the Ice Shards as well. IG, they silence him up so he can't get the TP. The Dark Rift is not there, and the Roar will keep him locked down for long enough for the CK to bring him down, but in comes the Tiny. The Orb, the Waiting Rift, the Puck takes down the Aegis, and the Supernova will deter EHOME from going any further.
That was still alright for EHOME, I want to say. You take down the DP, you immediately get rid of the Aegis. Sure, Disruptor kind of doping around, like not really having the backup of his team. Going in, walking around there with a Static Storm, but ultimately, I mean, Underlord just being so freaking tanky and just forcing out so much time committed here for IG to bring him down. It gave Tiny that opportunity to throw in with the burst, and once again the Fatal Bonds. We don't talk about it a lot, but if he landed on 2 or 3 heroes, it makes a huge, huge difference with this kind of burst.
Yeah, Fatal Bonds with Tiny combo is just 2 heroes dead immediately, it feels like. Now you're looking at CTY with Boots of Travel, not going for the blink, maybe aiming for a bit more of that split push. Like we said, the 5-man swing back and forth as CK Phantasm is there to try and catch the Tiny, but the Fatal Bonds in onto the illusions means that Chaos Knight will lose all of them, including potentially his own life, but no, he survived through it all, killed the Disruptor, and now Old Chicken deep behind enemy lines. Oh dear, EHOME, what have you done?
A bit too deep. After the initial burst, it's a bit of an issue, like where's the damage coming from afterwards if you don't have the puck there, if you don't consolidate your right clicks, and also very fortunate, perhaps Reality Rift, they're taking him far away from Old Chicken.
And they didn't have CTY available either, still split pushing away top lane, farming towards that potential Blink Dagger. Such a weird series of games and best of threes we've had. Very back and forth over the past couple of days. Never quite sure where things are going. Teams reading games differently.
Kind of what you would expect, though, between these two teams, right? Both of them some very accomplished players in their own right. Well, that's a free ball, a free hawk. 30 goals for Faith Beyond with a Firestorm. And it's very unclear now how this game will develop in the end, because no team just... Oh, NPC, Cold Chicken. Almost finding the task there in mid. Still items available in case they need it, and can grab these easy kills, but they're not really changing the pace of the game, are they?
No. I know what Y wanted to do there. Tiny was tossing the tree, and Y wanted to glimpse the tusk back to watch the tree do the same thing and fly backwards. Like we see with Assassinate, right?
Yeah.
And we see the glimpse Assassinate, we've seen it do like 360s and 180s and cool stuff. Unfortunately for them, Old Chicken killed the tusk off before we could see the magic happen. That's IG were very reliant on having that Aegis to actually go and make something of themselves in this game. 12-11. The Dire team still feels like they are in pretty firm control, but again, if the Beastmaster and DP can go and find a pick-off with a Roar and the damage that they have behind them, if CK can finish off this BKB, the 5-man aggressive potential from both teams, but especially the Radiant, is incredibly strong with that Phantasm almost unanswered here.
Yeah. The longer the game goes, the more tanky these heroes will become, and the bigger your win of opportunity is in these team fights for Chaos Knight to go in and decide on the right target here, with the illusion surviving, providing that extra bit of damage. So it's gonna get harder and harder for EHOME probably. Because then they're more and more reliant on being the ones to find the initiation, right? Find a Blink Avalanche Toss combo into the Firestorm and everything else. That follow-up control to prevent the Phantasm from coming out in the first place.
Faith Beyond is itemizing for this though. Crimson Guard into Shiva's Guard, very tanky. He'll be the frontliner, try and bait out initiations from the Radiant while the rest of his team looks to pick away the backlines as the jump forward, snowball into punch, catches Old Chicken, but Boboka caught now inside the Pit of Malice to turn back with a Golem, Supernova on their heads, and down goes the Tusk. But this is an awkward back and forth as ultis just chucked into the middle of no man's land. Everyone retreats away from these spells, and it's EHOME who's tried to swing back into the battle with a glimpse onto DP. Exorcism still going, the damage is still flowing, but the DPS nuke in from Puck. Now the Roar back in onto EHOME. It's the Disruptor who's caught, but they're losing their Death Prophet. Down she goes, OP has fallen, and finally the Dream Call from Puck. The Disruptor survives with the Shadow Word healing him, and IG are crumbling, falling apart with a toss back. Beastmaster's found, and CTY claims yet another.
Well, what did I just say? Eventually you get tanky and you have more time to just find the right opportunity, essentially, and find the right timings for you to use the spells in team fights. But right now, that advantage seems to be still in favor of EHOME. Very good positioning there, just not really being caught out by any sort of crowd controlling spells. Perhaps task a little bit too early, no immediate follow-up from DP, ultimates and everything. And also the Phoenix Sun, yeah, the egg came out, but EHOME still had plenty of time to just put the finishing touches on a task kill with the Static Storm and escape, right? You want to force them to do either one or the other, but they managed to do both, and then they felt confident enough to stick around and just go for these extra pickups with the glimpse, with the tossbacks and everything.
They don't lose any real big objectives though. Something that IG can maybe be happy about, but here's the run forward. The Static Storm does come through, and Wire's caught a couple here. The Static Storm still silencing the Tusk, and there was no snowball, there was no shards. Maybe a glimpse back at another. The DP is dragged back, but the Chaos Knight arrives. The rift forward hits them, at the very least, a Disruptor kill. But that looked like IG setting up for a big team fight, but they're just caught.
Yeah, talk about wombo combo. I mean, this Beastmaster caught immediately, no Roar, no anything coming out. Him and his entire army essentially. And Task even blinking into the middle of that. He wanted to try and help out, but Disruptor, he does pay the price still, but he's made that fight a victory for this team nonetheless. And IG gotta be a bit careful, right? If EHOME starts to drive forward like that more and more, then they might not even get to the time where they are strong enough to withstand this initial burst. They still need something like his heart on Chaos Knight. I feel like I think he's not even the big issue, right? If he's the one caught in the front lines, maybe the fight turns out differently.
It definitely does feel like
hard.
CK and DP are like an item behind where they need to be.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the net worth and you're like, okay, well, Puck's top, Tiny's just behind. There's the CK, he's 1,000 behind the Puck and the Tiny. That's fine, right? But then you look at the Death Prophet, 7.8k. The Beastmaster, 8.3k. All of their cores are significantly behind their counterparts.
Yeah.
Which means that the DP's BKB is delayed. It means the CK, his, Echo Saber, yeah, he does switch back to Echo Saber, or the Blink, or the Shadow Blade, whatever it may be, if he changes his mind in the near future, as they do catch the Tusk on the front lines. See the end of that little pick-off. But IG are just, overall, an item per hero behind where they need to be to take these fights, so it takes that extra bit of coordination, that extra bit of sneakiness or maneuvering in this game to get that map control. They need to smoke, they need to outplay, they need to bait, they need to switch. Everything has to go their way, and they can't do things like this.
Yeah.
Beastmaster gets caught top lane, silenced up and removed from the game, with Chaos Knight not too far behind. If they have a glimpse here, just need a vision. They've got him, dragged him back. The Chaos Knight pops his BKB, turns to fight with a Phantasm. This might be good for them. Rock dropped on his head, the Tiny trying to survive through it. The Rift back again, Old Chicken keeping himself alive. The Shadow Word is there, just need a stun, but it's not going to be. Chaos Knight did waste his ulti and BKB for that though, without getting a single kill in return. As Faith Bihan sprinting forward, chasing Phoenix, Dream Coil, CTY barely misses.
Again, confidence for EHOME, and also just the right judgment calls made. I mean, Warlock with a golem, making sure that Old Chicken survives, also dropping the heals in, despite that 4-second stun. I mean, maybe a bit of a tilt play even there from Gaze of Death, as he's called now. Just going in down all by his lonesome, but this time they find Faith Beyond. He's tanky, but not tanky enough against the entirety of the Radiant lineup in this area.
Percentage-based HP damage, pretty good against the Underlord. Sunray and Spirit Siphon will be his undoing. Next Roshan, though, is for sure going to be the next big point of contest, with 1 minute until the respawn for him. It'll come down to who can scout the big man first. IG do have this Hawk, they've got the Medallion, the Necro 3. Need that jump tool, the Shadow Blade or the Blink from Beastmaster to be able to get themselves into fights and get these pickoffs. As the Dire scan on top of the pit, and they do catch a glimpse of red. But IG have fallen back to keep the lanes pushed out for now.
Down bottom we do have the Warlock closing in at level 15, so maybe 40% XP gain could be useful here to go towards AoE Shadow Word. Super useful. He still has some scaling potential with the levels.
We never see Warlock anymore. What is that? So summons a Golem on death, plus 20 Chaotic Offering Golem armor, or Magic Immunity for Chaotic Offering Golems.
Probably armor in this game, right? I mean, with the CK and the
Exorcism,
DP, if it even gets to that point, right?
Yeah, maybe so. 25 levels on Warlock is a difficult proposition, really.
Yeah.
But here we are, Puck with Dagon. CTY really is a champ on this hero. Could start looking to blow up heroes like the Death Prophet, who still is struggling to get towards that BKB, and IG are going to go for another smoke. This is super risky. Pre-BKB on Death Prophet, they do have their CK Phantasm up, and he is the key hero, so really, EHOME, all they have to do to win this fight, not even exaggerating, is catch the Chaos Knight, silence him, stun him, just lock him down and make sure he's blown up before he can get that BKB Phantasm off. But Roshan swiftly being taken by IG, again another sneak.
They have some decent vision at least, top part. They also use the Hawk to keep an eye on the Synchronous point, but of course with the minus armor from CK, with the exorcism being committed, they will sneak that very quickly indeed. But now the counter smoke finally comes out for EHOME. They were caught off guard by that Roshan attempt by the looks of it. Now they still want to try and get a quick freebie, because sometimes after Roshan, the other team splits up the farm a little bit, but not IG. Still close together in this general area here on the mid lane.
With the coil missing, not really much that EHOME can do. CTY goes back to Shrine. Boots of Travel ready, so he can TP to one of these creep waves as Old Chicken jumped forward looking for a target. IG playing very safely though. Still desperately looking for that BKB on DP. That is the one thing separating them from like straight up losing team fights to actually standing a chance.
Yeah. If you actually think about it, I mean, what's the damage that goes through BKB on the side of EHOME?
Tiny right clicks.
Yeah, decent amount from Tiny, but I guess he also has the Echo Saber, so that's not an itemization that we see from every Tiny anymore. So it does help you get that initial bit of burst, but it's not going to be enough to kill the Death Prophet outright here throughout the Spirit Siphons and everything else. And even the Sunray, you were talking about it earlier, that heal to help out as well. Snowball saves potentially here to get her to a point where she dodging some stuns here, where so she can use the BKB afterwards. So it's getting a little bit more tricky. On the other side, though, CTY, we've seen what he can do already. He's getting more utility, showing off the Yule Scepter. Also has the Dagon level 1 already in his inventory, so now has the rest of the recipes queued up. So his damage output will spike. And he's also very hard to catch, right? Unless you can find him with a roll. He hasn't itemized against that, but particularly with any sort of Lincoln Spheres.
3 minutes for Aegis though. This is where IG, with everything ready, need to seriously think about smoking and playing aggressively. They'll TP down towards bottom. They've shoved top, they've shoved mid, everything's looking good there. Defense of the tier 2 is going to be the real big sticking point as the roar in onto Warlock catches, and the Realtor forward means that Phantasm is forced and down goes the Warlock. Catch a little bit more, but a silence quickly out from the puck will slow down the IG aggressors, and maybe an escape here from Disruptor. Jump forward though. Tusk has a Blink Dagger, catching out yet another, and 3 in a row as IG come out swinging. A double kill for Chaos Knight will likely lead to even more objectives going their way.
Yeah, if there wasn't a 4-second stun, maybe Warlock gets the ultimate off, Fatal Bonds, and then perhaps Tiny gets a way to come in. Right now, it's going for the Phoenix right, actually, down bottom, but at least gets the Phoenix stun forced out. Middle lane, though, that's the strength of IG's lineup, right? If you win these kind of fights, you can always turn it into objectives, not necessarily just with the Exorcism, but just because of the Beastmaster, right? Bringing a Zoo to the party and the Inner Beast aura. Extremely valuable in that regard. So now, EHOME getting past the timing that they had, where they... what the hell is happening? That was unnecessary. Already Aegis, 1.5 minutes left, was left on time, and now another war coming through. Ice shots blocking themselves away.
Farming very aggressively there,
Yeah.
not expecting the puck to come in. Catching out the Chaos Knight unawares. Shadow Blade from Beastmaster also paying off pretty nicely. That's not too bad though. I mean, Aegis was going to expire in about a minute anyway, and without Exorcism, without Phantasm, they were unlikely to go and look for a fight, so
Yeah.
using Aegis there to, force your opponents to TP back, to defend, to use their cooldowns and get themselves across the map away from objectives themselves, as BKB from the DP has been forced here because this EHOME side are chasing her down close to her tier 2. The cheese expended, puts her into a decent spot with that Dagon into the Yules. Do they have anything more? There's the heal from the Sunray. Phoenix keeping the DP alive, but the Dream Coil finally arrives, brings her down, the jump forward. No Supernova. EHOME thinking about going back in, but it's IG that strike first. The Invis, the Old Chicken kept alive with Glimmer Cape. The stun forward, though, they've got the reveal. The Necro books have come through, and Old Chicken, the Underlord with a Pit of Malice roots up the Chaos Knight, and I don't know. Somehow Tiny is still alive. Stage resistance is such a good thing to have, and they'll get the supports on the back lines. Faith Beyond the offlaner to fall as well, as IG send them packing away from that tier 2 bottom. You can't stun a Tiny.
Well, the only reason they had to chase that far on the DP was that cheese, because, well, we've seen that if Tiny gets a few seconds to right-click that hero, then BKB will not be enough to save you.
58.8% resistance. It's just silly.
Thank you very much, but it's... damn. Like, yeah, cutting down this low stun, was 2 seconds stun, I believe, from the CK, down to, like, less than 1. Doesn't make a huge difference in these kind of situations, so... him barely surviving, they only lose the support in the offlane. It's probably worth it if they can also hold on to high ground here, because IG, they're done with these shenanigans. They have all the ultimates back up available again. BKB of cooldown 2, only missing the Raw. That's available in another 5 seconds.
They're just waiting for the DP to arrive. That's literally the only thing they care about is DP. BKB exorcism.
That's the big one. They utilized that to try and bring down the DP earlier. But well, that does mean that you don't have it available for this defense. That's the other thing here. Sunray and Spirit Siphons coming in big, almost making sure the DP survives. Now with the BKB, making sure the Spirits continue to wail away the Bailey Barracks, and there's nothing that EHOME can do about it.
Even with the Crimson Garden buildings. This Dream Coil not really going to accomplish anything as the Supernova zones them all back. Don't get hit by the stun. Jump forward aggressively, looking for the Death Prophet. Maybe the Tiny, yes, with the Dagon helping out, they find that kill. But the chase on for more. This has to be successful. They've lost so much already. They're tossing around Necro units, but they will not find a secondary kill. Gem on Puck, not quite going to catch a glimpse of the Beastmaster, and some great shards there from Baboka will keep them at bay. Melee racks and tier 3 gone. IG just hitting these timings, making sure that they are striking when the iron is hot. And EHOME, we knew they were going to be hit and miss. If they could get this momentum going, use their ultis, cycling through them off cooldown, then sure, it's going to be great, but they're really just looking for scraps at the moment. You know, a kill on Tusk here, maybe a takedown on a tier 2 is going to be good for them, but DP will be alive in 20 seconds. The one thing I guess they have going their way is the ultis for the Radiant aren't really available anymore, right?
Yeah. That's the one thing that EHOME can still bank on. I mean, just playing around these ultimates that they're still kind of reliant on, right? Especially CK not having the Manta Style illusions. You're missing out on a lot of damage without having these available, but it's still kind of scary because there's still the Roar, and Beastmaster's damage output is also nothing to ignore at this point. But with the catapults here, just maintaining or just take care of the backdoor region for a while and doing some extra chit damage. Will do as much as they're comfortable with. But you certainly feel that EHOME, they feel like they're on the back foot. Even though we know, alright, the gold graph is still very much around the 0 line. Experience also not too significant here, I think about 5 or 6k. They certainly feel like they are behind, losing that mid-drags. And as a result, they play very defensively here, very scared. And there's still at a point where they have one specific way that they need to take a team fight, and if they don't, then either the Death Prophet or a CK will just run over them.
And now CK is hitting that critical mass. Full heart complete.
Very,
very hard to bring down. Yeah, exactly right.
On the Disruptor has revealed himself collecting the courier. Turn around though, we hear the Static Storm coming through. CK actually going into it, but now still gets BKB. Phantasm off, time turns around, 4 seconds down onto the Warlock, couple of right clicks will finish him off. Old Chicken on the side trying to do what he can, but only got the Beastmaster so far. 1-for-1 trade, Exorcism going down. Well, Puck, not sure what you can do here against all these tanky heroes, BKB'd up heroes. The answer is nothing. Old Chicken will be brought down, and well, no Roshan up just yet. That's the only saving grace for EHOME, but it certainly feels like IG's starting to hammer at home more and more now, despite this Tiny still. I mean, he's sitting at 20k net worth, same for the Puck, but it feels like they don't have an impact in these fights anymore.
Yeah, they absolutely melt, but again, it comes down to vision, it comes down to 5-manning, it comes down to who gets the jump first and on key targets. And you look at the vision here from the Radiant, you know, the Beastmaster sees the Disruptor hitting the Courier. They've got wards all around these entry points, these exit points where people are smoking and moving forward towards mid lane and funneling in towards the Radiant side of the map. And the vision from the Dire is just lacking because they have this Beastmaster running around and de-warding everything. They've got Gem on Phoenix to see all of these Observer wards as well. And EHOME, you know, you're looking at the metrics, right? But I think Game 1 and Game 3 here, the metrics just don't really mean anything at all. You can have a net worth lead of, you know, 3-4k, but when it's a back and forth game, depending on who gets the jump first, really it matters who gets that one Observer ward that spots that one key target that you can catch. It's really spooky for EHOME when they are so heavily reliant on jumping in with a Tiny, with the Fatal Bonds, with the supporting cast behind them, helping out with these counter initiation tools. Because you can't really use Static Storm and Chaotic Offering as pure initiation. Because if you're using them on 1 or 2 heroes, like we saw here, onto the Beastmaster and barely onto the CK, then you're missing out on the DP, you're missing out on the Tusk. These heroes that can come in and really save the team fight for IG, which we see time and time again.
This is the best kind of Dota, right? Where it's really coming down to like individual performance and how well they mesh together as a team, how they stagger their abilities. That's why it was a little bit awkward in the last fight where they defended high ground, or when they tried to catch a few of IG's heroes on retreat. They kind of staggered the ultimates, they barely caught the DP with that Static Storm, but there was no immediate follow-up, so kind of got kind of scrambled for Tiny to come in there and finish them off afterwards. Like, I think there was a Dagon in the middle of that too, but which is back up to level 5 now. So you do have some extra burst potential from that. But it's all a bit of a coin toss here. When it comes to vision, of course, you mentioned Beastmaster, the Hawk, invaluable in these kind of situations right now. They're all smoked up, shadow blading across towards the Roche pit, scouting out that this is happening.
IG sees everything.
See Faith Beyond, they see the Disruptor taken out, that Static Storm is gonna be the choice, and it will be successful. The Golem drop, but instantly taken care of. A bit of a Dagon zap, but Faith Beyond already saying, nope, gonna get the hell out of here, taxi servers. And leaving the station, back to base. Yeah, a couple of ultimates committed. Same for the other side, but the Exorcism still going. Phantasm Illusions very much alive and kicking. They'll have an easy time getting rid of Roshan. Aegis, Cheese, and Refresher Shot now in the hands of IG. Chicken has other plans, so goes in for the combo. Fatal Bonds between 3 heroes, not the worst. Here, Beastmaster will fall. Everyone's slowed down by the Warlock here, and Tusk. Excellent listening, just a little bit more. Dagon zap there on the Phoenix, out dropping like flies. Still, the big core still in the middle. Death Prophet, Yield Scepters, Bird Siphon, healing up. But looks like, yeah, Chaos Knight had other plans. Did not want to stick around. He's hauling the loot back to base.
Chaos Knight's
like a bandit, yeah.
Oh, blowing his tongue out, giving them the old rounds of breeze, saying, I've got Aegis Cheese, Refresher Shard, I don't care. I killed Roshan, I'm escaping. You can kill anyone else on my team, as long as I can run away with all of these wonderful goodies and drop them in my fountain. Look at that.
He's the greedy bandit, you know, just leaving his friends to die while he's hauling the loot back to base.
There's a goodie bag in the fountain now.
Yeah.
Double Exorcism, potentially. The cheese is there. Maybe double Roar. They do have to think about defending them. Oh, old chicken. Oh, old chicken. What? Sunray does a lot of damage. These tanky strength cores absolutely shredded. Now you've got the super long dive, like plus 2,000 range or something, isn't it? Plus 1,400? 1,400.
It's ridiculous.
For dive range as Puck into the Radiant base and then out again.
These kind of moments, that's where we realize that Phoenix is actually a bit OP with the Sunray, the big old laser beam. Then the Icarus dive, reaching across half the map. Yeah, good defense. Everyone can respawn naturally, no buybacks forced out or anything. And now, we were talking about the ultimate dependence on IG earlier, but with the Refresher Shot in hand, you're mitigating that quite a bit. Give that over to like multiple heroes actually. I mean, double Roar could be useful here, double Phoenix Sun, probably double Exorcism.
That's the big one.
It is the DP, yeah. Holding on to both the Chiefs as well as that shot for emergencies. And the EHOME, well, I guess you can say the news is tightening. They'll have less and less opportunities, even though it's still had a net worth, but we were talking about it earlier, it doesn't really mean anything.
CTUI trying to keep these lanes pushed out, does have the big old GPM talent. Start to look for these moon shards, observable spam, smoke spam, whatever it may be, just to keep his team in the game. Refresher Orb is a good distance away for the Warlock. He's trying to rush towards it, but it might just be too late. This fight could end the game here. Buyback status, what we're looking at. Dire team have a Tiny and an Underlord buyback. Nothing else for anyone else in the game.
Is that another item that Puck could be looking for to try and help out, other than just moonshots? I mean, do you even go like E-Blade here, just trying to add to that burst damage on the magical side?
I don't know, it's super hard. Yeah. It's super hard to say. I mean, even a Hex could be good. Catch someone before the BKBs, before they can cheese.
Yeah.
starting to run out of slots though.
Yeah.
As IG start to prep both of these side lanes. Need to come down and deal with this creep wave here. Cut back across. Look for this tier 2. And really close the net around this Dire base. Make sure that EHOME are trapped inside with nowhere to farm. For now, it's a slow and steady. Oh, it's a double damage rune at the bottom spot. That's huge for the Chaos Knight. Now they can actually think of just playing aggressively at nighttime. They, again, have the vision advantage. They've got wards watching top lane. They've got a Hawk watching down in this mid to bot lane area. So they know where EHOME are heading.
The rune of many wins, as I like to call it, on that CK, but just using it to farm up a little bit, while the rest of his team pushing towards his bottom tier 2 tower. One of the Beastmasters showing in lane, really. And yeah, I mean, if you look at Dire's vision, the only wards that they have on the other side of the map, not really useful at all. They did scout out the courier going towards the secret shop, but not back. Not necessarily know that that AC is about to be completed on the Gaze of Death. What a name, actually. What a name.
Gaze of Death. CTY playing with fire, zapping down the Beastmaster's creeps. No real defense of the tier 2 though, just a bit of a poke and a prod there from the puck. IG in the driving seat. Aegis still there for about 20 seconds, not the longest, but Chaos Knight probably undeterred by this. Still has BKB Phantasm. Can walk up high ground with the help of Exorcism. Pop the pipe. Zapped immediately by the Dagon. Octarine Dagon 5. Pretty good cooldown there from CTY's puck, but in come the illusions and the Exorcism. Time to break this base. Fatal Bonds looking to clear them out, but the Sunray looking to do the opposite. Firestorm will actually destroy all of these illusions. The Aegis expires. BKB forced out from the DP. Cheese still being held as the Beastmaster dragged into the danger zone. Cheese popped, and now the turnaround. There's the Golem dropping on their heads, but the BKB CK allows him to run forward with the help of the Death Prophet, looking for someone to take down. Old Chicken dropping low, but it's going to be that Warlock that falls. Chaotic Offering on Death gives another Golem, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Exorcism Ghost is still flying around and dealing so much damage to this Dire side. With the Refresher Shard used, they have a second one to go as well to bring down this lane of Rax. And CTY trying his damnedest, but can't take down the Chaos Knight. Now silenced up, Yule's into the air with a phase shift ready. Could look to blink away from this. Tiny getting the DP, bringing her low. The Ghost to go in, the Spirit Siphon ready. Now Yule's into the air with the Sunray keeping her alive, but the damage isn't there. She's being healed up so much. She kills the Tiny. She's surviving through it all. Down they go, a double kill in from OP. EHOME are being ripped apart by this Death Prophet, but they'll finally bring her down with the Chaos Knight failing his armor toggle. That'll be a 2 in a row. And EHOME, they hold on for dear life with buybacks, but they still lose their melee racks.
At what cost, Gareth? At what cost? I want to say it's too big. I mean, even these 2 kills, it's some big pinatas for Faith Beyond, but he bought back just before that. So even though the Cyber says 500 gold, 700 gold for these kills, he only got a fraction on that. And as I said, they still lost their objectives and they're nowhere near taking anything themselves. Well, Park is still doing some work here. I'm trying to, at least. Keeping Phoenix honest on the other side of the map now, but that was... I mean, what's to stop IG from just waiting out the next Roshan and making that same kind of push with these same kind of advantages? No, Puck caught with a roar. Big old Icarus dive, the snowball to follow, punch in the air.
That was so perfectly chained as well. Snowball and punch arriving exactly as the roar ends.
Yeah. That can't help.
This Phoenix doing such an amazing job as well. Zoning out team fights. The Fire Spirit's great against the Tiny once BKB's down. And then you've got Shiva's Guard on top of it all. Very, very strong performance from Q. Oh, an illusion rune there for the Chaos Knight, potentially.
Always happy to add more illusions to the party. It's, I just spawned 2, so plenty of time for that.
Got it.
Still no Ags on Puck. Is going for the E-Blade that you suggested. Seems very 1v90 here from CTY.
They just need the damage at this point, right? It's Old Chicken, BKB down 5 seconds, you don't act... Oh, 7 seconds actually, he hasn't used it as much as I expected. But still, he has a hard time just getting the damage on targets because most of the time CK and DP are not obliging and sitting next to each other so we can cleave them down together. Just one on the one side, the other one like far away on the other side of the team fights. You have to pick and choose as a Tiny. Hey, who do I focus on?
They don't have these backup plans anymore with the Cheeses and Aegis, but with Puck dead for 20, it's time to go in.
Try here, Sexton being dropped. Looted, there was another fight in the middle of that or something. I don't even know. Tef Prophet actually brought down with the last bit of a Dagon Zap, but now CK, the next challenge, NPC, will not be there to take it on. The Phoenix Sun with Supernova zoning them away.
So the Aghanims are disrupted, they did a great job, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. CTY deep in behind enemy lines, but it's this Sunray just doing so much, healing, damaging, and winning this game potentially for IG as the buyback from DP to secure things and close it all out. In jumps the Phoenix again. The CK dying will fall eventually here to the Warlock of all people, but Puck Yule's up, Spirit Siphon on, and the damage looks like it might just be good enough. They have another Yule's to catch out the Puck, but the damage, ooh, no, lockdown. Can't finish off CTY, he's finishing off them. Oh god, the soul release from the Spirit Vessels, trying to keep the Tusk alive, but he's in behind the trees. The Warlock will catch him, but GG is called. They tap out, because you know what's happening? The Beastmaster's taking down Throne. IG
Objective-based gaming.
2-1 victory over EHOME.
What a game. What a valiant effort in the end there for EHOME, but their draft just falling off a little bit too much there in the end. IG just end up... They didn't have the cheese, they didn't have the Aegis, but they had the buyback TP in, so that's good enough at that point. They finally close it out. And they eliminate EHOME out of the Genting qualifiers.
Unfortunate for EHOME, but IG progress on through. One series away from qualifying. We'll find out who they're up against in just a little bit. I'm not sure how the bracket has been progressing, but I believe it should be LFY if things have gone according to plan, and it looks like that's how things ended up. I believe LFY 2-0'd Rock Gaming, so that will be IG up against LFY tomorrow in that first final, I guess. It's a semi-final, but it's technically a final game because one team qualifies. So coming up next should be Vici Gaming Thunder going up against Sun Gaming. The other series, Keen up against Newbie M, has already begun. That started a little while ago, I believe.
I believe so as well. I mean, scheduled start time was like half an hour ago, so not sure if they held the other series for us. I did not see a message from the admin just yet.
No, it doesn't look like the lobby's up, so we'll jump ourselves into that lobby as soon as it pops up. Coming up in a little bit, we'll have your next series of the day. See you guys in a little bit.